All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for this last session of our Study Abroad Fair, our live session. We're very excited to have Carl and Mary to discuss the upcoming program to Sweden. The title being Entrepreneurship and Innovation, Scandinavian Gamification and Technology. My name is Scott Pearson. I'm the Director of the Office of International Education, and it's my pleasure to be serving as moderator, although there's not too much moderation that needs to be in effect here with just a few students on the call. I might at times ask some questions that I have too that might be I might be able to be a spokesperson for some of the students that aren't here today. But with that being said, maybe we can start off with Carl and Mary giving us a brief overview of the program. What are some of the unique aspects of taking a class, or should I say classes, in Sweden during this experience?
Okay.
Well, Mary, take it away.
Yeah, I'll start out a little bit. You guys, this will be my third time taking students abroad on this. The first one was in 2018. I should say I'm a professor of international business as well as entrepreneurship. But I've lived in Sweden for many, many years and have a dual citizenship, Swedish and American. Married to a Swede who's somewhere in the house right now. And the entrepreneurship side had me thinking, wow, Sweden is a very innovative country, and it'd be interesting to pull together a program. So I came to Stout in 2017. A year later, had joined hands with Diane Christie, who heads up the computer science department. We hadn't met before. I went to her and I said, I have this idea. Are you in? She said, I'm in. I said, I don't know if I like you and you don't know if you like me, but let's go. And we ended up with 23 students, which was crazy. And we learned a lot. I hadn't been abroad with students probably in 20 years. And the last time had been about 5 students. So 23, and in this circumstance was trial by fire, but it went really well. It was a great program. And decided to try it again the following year. I did alone the following year because I had a few more and I had changed the course a little bit, and took 12 students, and that was 2019. Really, really unbelievable. In fact, a super, super program. But what we've done with all of these and what we'll continue to do, I should say the first year we had this gamification bent. So for Daniel, maybe Derek, maybe Freya, the goal was to get into at least 3 major firms, knowing that Battlefields, Minecraft, the kind of major games that come out of Sweden, and Massive Entertainment we went to visit. We'll go and do that again in May. They've just moved into a brand new building, amazing company. We went to White Wolf Publishing, a number of others. We did go to DICE, and everybody was excited about that. I may or may not want to push into that if people want to go. It was a disappointment. So, but I can say Massive is great. We'll go to a number of business incubators where games are, they're Swedish, East Sweden games. There is the Nordic Games Conference, which will be on as well. So there'll be a chance for people to go to this gaming conference for Nordic game designers. So a lot of interesting things. And then Carl Cayley this year, Carl and I met, I don't know when we met exactly, Carl, but we connected a few years ago, and he's been really instrumental in sending students from the game design program over to entrepreneurship, where, I've tried to get our business students invested in creating businesses around publishing houses and studios and things like that, around the games themselves, and getting some cool interactions across campus, which, we don't see, I don't think, enough of. So this program is really to get people like Freya, you in interior design, or psychologists, or chefs, or dietitians, or biologists, whatever it is that comes together, because that's what makes innovation, is a mixing of creative minds that say, well, why haven't you ever done it this way? And why haven't you done it that way? And how are they doing it? And you see how culture is. Just traveling abroad gives you that sort of innovative spirit. So we're kind of doing double duty, getting the innovation and the travel abroad in one. So that's my spiel, and I'll turn it over to Carl to tell a little bit about himself and what
this is my 5th year at Stout, and I think I originally met Mary I was doing the capstone, the senior capstone for game design, and I wanted to pull in other disciplines and met Mary and we thought it'd be great to get some students from her program over to look at the students who are making their senior games, which is a year-long experience. And they can look at the teams as far as an indie game development or as far as a business plan. It worked great. It was something that really allowed the students to look at their development in different ways. I recently went over to Sweden this last summer, and it was part of a HEVGA, Higher Education Video Game Alliance. And it was a summit. That was the first year they had done this. Very much stepping out of my box, and it was more towards research in games. Delightful group. So I got to go to Skövde, and I got to go to a little town, I believe just east of there. And it was really an eye-opening experience to go visit a different place where I didn't know the language, where I was learning different cultures, and it was a bit of a shock, honestly. Just I have my observations that I came away with of a different culture. Yeah. I went to a theme park when I was there. I went and I said, I want to ride a roller coaster in a different country. Yeah, let's do this.
Did you go to Liseberg in
I went
Malmö?
I went to Leesburg.
Liseberg, yeah, they say Liseberg, but Leesburg, it looks like it.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's great. That's fun.
Went to all sorts of really cool places and got to meet some people at Skövde in the game development arena, and I highly recommend it. It was pretty cool.
Excellent. Mary, could you talk a little bit about the course offering and the number of credits? So is it a 3-credit course?
It's a 3-credit course. And I think, Scott, you understand this and tell students sometimes with some of these courses, especially faculty-led, the course number that we're using on this one, now I have to remember to get that switched over. In fact, you're reminding me, oh, that's another task to get done pretty soon, but we'll have it ready. The first year we did it, I pulled a course off the shelf that hadn't been used in years, retranslated, got it approved, and that was a BUMGT 346, and that's allowed to be used one more time. And then for, we used 480 the first time, and that was capstone. That was because it was one I was teaching, and I wouldn't be stepping on any other instructor's toes to use it abroad, right? But because it was a capstone, it required all these students to do a business plan in 3 weeks. I knew it'd be impossible and difficult and horrible, and poor students, yeah. But it was mainly the course that was dictating this, and people came back and they still had another week or two to finish up. But they got through it and they wrote some great plans. I didn't want to put students through that again, so that's when I pulled off this other course for 2 years ago in 2019, a year and a half ago now. And that was the 346. And what I did was take the best of the year before and created a program that, again, is tailored to people's different needs, but the output was essentially what we call a business journal. So you're journaling daily, and we met officially 6 evenings for an hour to an hour and a half to talk with each other about some prompt questions that I had given that would give people a little direction on what to write. And what they turned in about 5 days after they got back to Stout or home was a really nicely illustrated photographs, revisions on this gorgeous journal. Everybody did beautiful ones on their insights and their thoughts. So it wasn't quite a diary. It acts like a diary, but with some focus on the experiences that they have. So ultimately, that's the main output. Otherwise, your classroom in all of these faculty-led and study abroad, well, faculty-led especially, your classroom is the traveling itself. Just going to breakfast the first time in your hotel is a classroom experience. I mean, Carl, you just said it's the culture itself is the classroom, interacting with people, getting money out of the bank account, shopping, eating a meal.
Transit.
Yeah, transit. Oh, and the transit, and we work. It's going to be a little different this time from the last two because and it depends a little on we're planning this time to go into a different airport from before, but it depends a little bit on costs, and we want to keep the costs down for everybody. But initially we built the transit up so it was first not too difficult, and I'm helping, and then we're in this tiny weeny town and you're working things out, and then we get to a little bigger town and you're working out the transit more, and then we get into Stockholm and the big cities and you've got a 5-day card and you're on the buses and the trains and the trams and the boats and the ferries, you know, and it's, transit is a big deal. But we do cultural events, museums, we do kayaking and hiking, and have a lot of good time. And we'll try to, I think Carl and I haven't had a chance to brainstorm yet on some of the kinds of things we want to link in this time, I think, to the gamification. I've thought some of the medieval ruins that are available, I can imagine when you think about the sets that you want to do, and if you had students photographing some of these cool places that can be translated into a game, you know.
Yeah, we got a chance to visit the old town, and we walked around there for a bit, and just the architecture is amazing. Where in Menominee or even in Minneapolis, you know, you think, oh, it's 120 years old, ha ha ha. And these buildings are seeing a lot more history.
Yeah, we're talking, you know, just in the region that's not too far from where I live, the oldest church in there, and it's 1100, you know, and so the services in a church built in 1100. It's really something. Yeah.
That's great, Mary. And so in terms of the overall duration, the course is 3 weeks long, and there's it 2 weeks in country, or just about 2 weeks?
It's more, yeah, it's about, I think this time it shifts back and forth in my mind. I think we're at 16 days in country now, probably back on the 16th day, and then about a week more to wrap up your work on your own. We'll have connection anytime you want, but by then you're pretty much, you're home, you're relaxing, and you put together, in this case, the journal and reflect on it. So there's not heavy duty study. I did use a small book that I've used in a couple of my entrepreneurship classes, that is an easy access one online that you can do, that's 6 small chapters. That's a short intro. It's called A Short Introduction to Innovation. Oxford Press puts out a lot of these short introductions to different subject matters. And you can buy a little pocketbook version of it for about $3 on Amazon used, and stuff it in a pocket too if you don't even want to deal with online. So that's about as much as we'll have of texts. And otherwise, it's your writing, it's your reflection, it's visiting companies, getting culture. It was kind of fun. How many of you guys have done ever read the book Matilda? Maybe read Matilda. Did you see that, Freya? So there were three of the 12 last year who saw that Matilda was being done, the musical, at the Malmö Opera in the second city we were in. And so some of them went out to dinner one night, and 4 of us went to see Matilda in Swedish, but it doesn't matter, the story's the same. It was a fantastic performance, and we did some symphony orchestras and stuff. So just taking it all in. Really great.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Daniel,
amazing.
do you have any questions over there? I see Daniel there.
Daniel or Derek or Freya?
I have a question, actually. For this course, what like majors and minors is this kind of built for around?
You know, Scott will tell you that's always a hard question for somebody.
Yeah.
Well, Derek, you know me. Derek's in the Model United Nations Club on campus. And so we've known each other now for over a year, and traveled to Chicago last year for competition and things, which sadly will be online next month. But so I'm very cross-disciplinary, but it's a business management titled course. And the degree to which I can work with other professors or program directors to tailor it to count in another discipline is, to my mind, possible. But of course, it's up to the professor in another discipline to decide that it's possible, and whether you get all 3 credits or 1 credit or 2 credit. I think 2 of the women who went in 2019 in Human Development Family Services each got 1 credit, but they didn't need more. They were graduating. They needed this thing, so they each took 1 credit for it. I thought, well, gee, they should get 3, but you know, they didn't really need it. and it satisfied. So they got credit for one credit in a completely different course with a different course name. I also worked with 3 students with that same group within business who needed their capstone course in entrepreneurship. They came back and had a month to complete a capstone business plan, which one of them was kind of relevant to the trip, but not entirely. But they began working on it on the trip. And we're sick. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There was one fellow, Chris Jones, I can talk about that. He was working as an intern at Northwestern Mutual, and I did set him up with a meeting to talk with an insurance company in Linköping where we went. So he had about an hour's meeting with an insurance person there just to sit and talk about some differences. And so it was small, but it was important to him, and he loved the idea of having that connection to someone as a part of a network. So does that answer your question, Derek?
Yeah, it answered it really well.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And I think, Derek, if you have interest in having the credit applied towards a different subject, or that's not per se in business, it's a great opportunity to connect with Mary. Mary can move mountains in terms of convincing her colleagues.
Problems, you guys. I thrive on problems. Give me a problem. Well, Derek knows that. He's called me.
But I do think that part of the reason why you had such a successful experience, Mary, is because you had students from a variety of disciplines that took part in your last program, and it made it really enriching for everybody.
I think so. They love learning to know each other. It's a little tricky when you put designers that first year, and Carl, we may experience this a little bit as well. Putting designers and artists together with business students can be pretty painful. They don't understand each other. But that's the reason that's the reason I want them together.
And Mary and I have kind of talked a little bit about this for more of the future, is maybe I can hold a little workshop on sketching, or potentially doing some game design in the field. There's a lot of different things we can do to bridge that gap between having a visual artist and designer and more of a business designer. Other things that could be applicable, things that we see in like a 220 class for design, is learning the basic skills of Photoshop and PowerPoint, and how to create a presentation that is really appealing and is going to be able to sell your idea a little bit better than just the idea itself.
Mm-hmm. And what's been empowering for the business students on both trips is being introduced to that world, both last year and in 2018, in a way that my goal is for them to understand different individuals in a firm, in a company, so that they are able to go beyond the marketing or the sales. They understand what the marketing people are doing in terms of design and illustration and presentation and video and social media. They take the courses in that, but they aren't necessarily the ones who are creating the visual, the content, as it were. And if they're more into accounting and finance, typically finance officers in companies don't understand the time involved in producing content. They don't understand the hours and hours and the value of those hours, and artists are typically then undervalued. So for me, there's this richness in bringing together the two worlds so that there's a greater respect for each other as well.
That's wonderful. I love that.
I see Andrea just smiling in your icon picture. I love that.
Andrea just joined us.
Hi.
Andrea,
smiling to life too. Hello.
Hi there.
Earlier on in our conversation, Andrea, or maybe just before the session began, we were talking about hoofda. Am I pronouncing it a little bit better? I think I'm getting there. And I know that Carl has visited in the past, and one question was, do we have other art and design courses available for students that are outside of game design at hoofda? And Freya in particular, was it interior design? Yeah. Okay. Are you aware of courses in interior design?
Not at hoofda. They're pretty much the game design art side. I think the computer science courses that are offered in the English medium. And then there's a few other courses. I don't remember them offhand. They're fairly limited, but not interior design. You said interior design, right?
Yeah, interior.
Yeah. Right. No.
But what we could do is it's still early, and if you decided this, we haven't really planned out all the visits for Stockholm. I like to leave a little wiggle room so that we see what kinds of students are interested as well. And we could do the Royal Institute of Technology that has really the major architecture school in Sweden, and reach out and see what kinds of possibilities there might be there for a relationship or for an experience, even if it comes out to be a couple of hours, so.
Great.
Daniel, what are you looking to do in the program?
And Daniel, I'm also going to ask you a follow-up too. Are you on the computer science side of game design or the BFA side of game design?
Yeah, so I'm on the computer science side of game design, and honestly, just like to be able to see some game design companies and like learn more about how game design is done in other countries, I feel like would be really cool. Although one thing I am concerned about is like the credit for the class. I forget which one it is, but I'm not entirely sure that, like, is that a credit that I can use to graduate?
Carl can answer this to a degree. There are a couple of things that should be working on your behalf. The students who went on the program in 2018 were given credit by Diane Christie because she was coming along it. So she's familiar with the program. She understands the connections. And so that would be a question to work out with her and ask her, based on your knowledge of this program and what we do, what credit did you give the students in 2018, and what would you recommend for me, and what can and then she and I can also talk, and she can talk with Carl, and we'll work out something that you might be able to get a relevant course credit based on your experience.
Yeah, she's actually my computer science teacher, so I could totally talk about that.
Right. And so she knows it. She and I took the 23 students over the first time, so she knows the program well.
Well, thanks for your help with that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll make it work in a way that, and there are more opportunities. What we haven't been able to make work for the last few years that I'd like to, and we'll see, is getting some students, and we don't know how many or what the cost would be, but into this Nordic Games conference. Typically, it's right in the middle of our travels. So now we've arranged the travel that should allow us to be in the city where it's being held at the time of the conference. So it's been a little crazy in transportation, but it should work out. And then it's a question of who wants to go. Freya, you might not want to be at that conference unless there's a half day and an open trade floor and it's just interesting, and maybe it's free for that you could wander through. But then we might have parallel programs going on while students who want to be in the Nordic Game Conference. So, and with Carl there, Carl will probably take those people in there, and I might take the other group who don't want to be a part of it. And my guess would be 6 or 7 in one and 6 or 7 students in another activity at the same time.
Great. One question, Mary, with regard to travel and documentation. So, I mean, now is probably, if students don't have a passport, they should really be applying as soon as possible, right? Because their State Department just kind of reopened in terms of processing passports. But no special visa required for U.S. citizens, because we have that visitor visa without any need for additional processing, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And we'll be going into either Stockholm or Copenhagen or Linköping, so no problems there. And even a transfer city shouldn't be. Our biggest challenge now is the pandemic, and Sweden just closed down its borders again. It's, I can go because I'm allowed in, but even if I go, I have to quarantine 2 weeks, on arrival. And those are things, and it's tricky, as, you guys have probably talked about in international office. It's hard to plan a program that's 2 weeks long and have to be quarantined for 2 weeks. It just doesn't exactly, we probably could figure out how to make it work, but
sure,
that's a whole different challenge. So yeah, it's I think even if you don't plan on traveling, or you're not sure about the money, and I think Scott and Andrea can help a lot on that whole financial side of things. But it's worth getting the passport. You'll use it eventually, and they're good for 10 years. So just pick it up and as soon as you can, and you'll have it.
Right. And there definitely should be enough time to process for summer. I don't see any challenges there in getting your passport back in short order there. Or maybe a little bit longer, but you'll get it in time for summer travel. The one other I know concern that maybe students have is as they're going through the process and actually submitting an application through our portal, what about COVID and how does it impact the program itself? We've been pivoting quite a bit over the last 6 months, as you can imagine, with the pandemic, kind of not knowing exactly when things are going to lighten up and when travel is going to be a safer bet again. Because this program is running in summer, I think we'll have a very clear idea towards the beginning of next semester. So there's really a lot of time to plan, but that shouldn't stop you from from submitting a complete application right now. If for some reason we have to postpone or we have to cancel next summer, you will receive a refund on your application fee. So any money and time that you put into it, know that it could quite possibly be transferred to a future program, or it could be canceled, in which case you get a refund. So know that you have some kind of a security blanket in effect for any changes that occurred due to the pandemic. And we're going to continue to kind of wishfully think that by summer we'll be able to engage in programs, especially programs to Europe. We're seeing at least a lot of our peer institutions throughout the system and throughout the U.S. Are planning sort of on a relaunch for a lot of their study abroad and study away programming for this summer. And some of them are even hopeful that maybe even spring semester they'll be able to engage in some outbound and inbound mobility options. But yeah, other questions? This is really, I don't want to take time. I'm talking too much here.
No, this is great. No, it's really important stuff.
How about you, Freya or Derek? Any additional questions to ask? It's a great opportunity to have both Carl and Mary on the line here. No, nothing else right now. Andrea, anything that you'd like to add or questions that you'd have for both Mary and Carl?
I just wanted to mention, I just put the link to our finances page in the chat box. If students would like to look at all the different scholarship and loan financial aid opportunities, the list is quite extensive. And I think we have it divided out. There's a section there for more short term. So you can check out those options.
That's good. And on the financial side of things, we do everything in our power. The price tag that you see on there is pretty much the max, and it's based on an assumption that you might want to take $500 in cash as personal money, and some students take $50, some $100. Some have credit cards, and they but you don't have to do any of that. It includes your fees like your passport and stuff. So once you have that, it's not all that big, $4,000 or $5,000 that you see on all of these faculty-led programs. You can kind of look at it and parse out what you get for the course and room and board and your food and all of the activities. So take some time to kind of figure that out. And if you have questions, feel free to ask. There's also a video. There are videos for all of these faculty-led programs on the International Education Office website. Have any of you seen those? Or Freya, did you see that for this particular program? No, it's
sorry.
No. It's just to let you know it's there, and there's some pictures of people and everything. It's fun.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I'll check it out.
The other thing to kind of consider is we're kind of early on in the process. So if you wanted to start setting aside or create a savings account, might be a good opportunity right now to put aside some money each month as you build up to the program date. Another idea might be to create a like a GoFundMe account, and maybe if you have an upcoming birthday or for the holiday season, tell people to give you gifts of some money towards your study abroad experience. That might be a great way to help to cover some of the expenses. I think Andrea just shared the link to the video. So thanks, Andrea.
And she did the financial aid one as well there for you guys.
Yeah.
And if you're from communities that have Rotary clubs, for example, a lot of times you can go and get $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 in different types of scholarships, depending upon where they are on their cycles, and they might offer money for a trip like this. So reach out. Be a little bit creative.
Another thing I'll mention, and maybe this was mentioned earlier, so I apologize if I just popped on. But since it is, I mean, when you have 6 credits in the summertime, you can use financial aid. Provide you hopefully, you know, if you have some financial aid left for summer. This program is 3 credits, but if you took another course in the summer, another 3-credit course, it could be an online course or whatever you want it to be, another study abroad course. If you have a combination of 6 credits, then you can use your financial aid for summer.
Can they just do an online course for the summer and stay over in Europe and bum around on the trains and work online, right? That's the way.
Yeah, that's the way to work it, right?
Work it, absolutely.
Excellent.
That'd be great. You can hang out at my house and mow the lawn. No. I don't think I can let you.
There is another program in Copenhagen, actually, that I think it's after your program. I know it's not during your program. It's like right after it. And so if you, it's a short-term program. So if you want, after Mary's program, if you wanted to hop on over to Copenhagen.
That's fantastic. What is that program?
That one is through CIEE, one of our providers. And it is, I can have it up for 1 second here.
I'm going to go ahead and share the direct link to the Entrepreneurship and Innovation. I found the video here from the past session, so I'll put that in the chat.
Okay, that's super.
Because I haven't seen it either.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we just did it in end of August, right? I think that's when it was. And that's got 3 people from the program. Well, 2 from the program last year and 1 fellow from the program in 2018, Nate Merrill, who today sits on the Menominee City Council. Kind of funny. And we visited the city council offices in one of the cities in Sweden, and he chatted it up with the mayors and people on the council, and then comes back, and it's kind of neat stuff. And he was a psychology major. Yeah.
It looks like the course is not available yet.
But it's in Copenhagen, because that's probably where we'll fly out this time. I think we've flipped it around. Maybe. Well, I mean, who knows? That's where we won't know maybe for sure until December, January as we look at. But right now we see going in this time into the middle of Sweden. Yeah.
Yeah, there's different sessions in next time. There's a variety of different, there's like 3 or 4 different sessions. So yeah, just something to think about, something to toss out there.
A lot of options. And so that's important, I guess, is the takeaway is that it's 6 credits, Andrea, right? That if they take 6, then
they can get use their federal financial aid. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, we've run over our time a little bit, which is no problem at all.
No, it's been great, enjoyable. Yeah, it's time for ice cream.
So
we do a lot of ice cream there too.
I'm sure it's delicious. Yeah. And I wish I could be joining you. This sounds like it'd be an amazing experience. So I hope that Freya and
Derek. Yeah.
Derek, that you'll both be able to make this work for you. And I'm sure there are quite a few other students that are going to be looking forward to catching up on the video. In terms of additional information, anybody who does have questions, of course, students can write directly to Carl or Mary for information. And then, of course, our office too. During COVID, during this semester, our advisors are taking appointments. They're virtual appointments, and they can be made through our website, uw-stout.edu/study abroad. You can see a link right there to how to book an appointment. We use Microsoft Bookings, and connects immediately with our Outlook calendar. So happy to talk with students about these opportunities, and I think this is a really amazing opportunity coming really soon. It might be the first time we can all travel again, so we're hopeful that'll be sooner.
I hope so. Oh.
Yeah. But hang in there, everybody. We know the pandemic's not going to be here forever. I like to say that hopefully not for at least another 100 years, because that was the last time we had it, right? So
That's right. That's right.
So, well, great.
There are
Well,
now 215 vaccinations underway right now. 215 of them. So
something's got to give. One of those has to
something's
work.
got to hit. Yeah.
So, well, we thank you again for leading such a great program, and I'm sure that it's going to be quite popular, especially given the current climate that we're
Look
in.
at our team. Well, this is going to be fun, right, Carl?
This could be great.
This is going to be good. Yeah, absolutely. So bring your friends, and we'll make it happen.
In general, thank you guys for coming, because I think something that I missed out on in my college experience, in my undergrad, was traveling overseas. I wish I would have. I didn't know it was possible, and a lot of the opportunities were not nearly as affordable as what we have, where we can pay the fees here for tuition and have that matched overseas. So good job, and keep thinking bigger, broader.
Absolutely. And for those of you guys, if you have, parents, sometimes parents are a little bit happier with the faculty-led programs because they're shorter, they're tight, the course is done, and you've got, for better or for worse, almost 24/7 care from a couple of adults, or you guys are adults too. But that makes parents sometimes feel a little better, and makes you feel a little better that if you haven't traveled before, have you, Derek, have you or Freya been out of the country before?
Yeah, just once.
Yeah?
So.
Okay, and Freya, no. And so it's nice to have somebody kind of hold your hand a little bit, and what we'll do is kind of release you into it, and then you know where to run when it gets scary. And so
to go with somebody who can speak the language.
What?
To go with someone who can speak the language.
Well, yeah, that probably helps a little bit too. But it's cool in Scandinavian, especially Sweden, that the English is, I like to say, it's better than the English in Britain or something, because you can actually understand their accents in Sweden when they speak English. But yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. This will be a really fun opportunity.
Well, thanks, guys. This was fun.
Well, thank you for having the session today. This is great.
Absolutely. It's my kind of hour. I go until about 2. And then I can't get up in the morning, and I've got to teach classes in the morning. So yeah.
For the rest of us, we'll try to turn in by a reasonable hour. But we thank you, Mary and Carl.
Thank you, Scott and Andrea and Carl. And good to meet you, Freya. And Eric, I'll see you around soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you. We definitely need to talk soon about this, so this is cool.
Okay, absolutely. And Derek's going to be competing soon, too. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
He's got Model United Nations competition coming up.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Representing the great country of Oman.
Oh,
Do we have a program in Oman?
Not that I'm aware of, Andrea. Oman?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Any relationship?
Study abroad programs for Oman?
We did with ICEP. We don't partner with ICEP anymore. I don't know if World Endeavors went there, but otherwise, no.
Well, if you have any contacts, pass them over to Derek.
Yeah, okay. Will do.
Best of luck, Derek. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Take
thanks.
care.
Thank you. Good night. Bye. Thanks, Carl. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.